So it's my great pleasure to introduce to you today a guy who's been a great friend to this church from the onset, from the beginning. He was actually one of the very first speakers to come and speak. And I will never forget his opening arms and his support at the beginning, and has been a friend ever since then, to me personally and to this church. And he is a bright light. He's a bright light in the world. And a couple things I want to share with you, that he has a mission always in his life, and that is to bring out the very best in each and every one of us, so that each and every one of us may bring our very best to the world. He's been the senior minister of two churches in the Portland metropolitan area since 1983. He's an executive coach specializing in communication skills. He's a writer, a musician, and in the process right now of producing. Will this be your first instrumental CD?
Yes, it will.
That's what I thought. His first instrumental CD to be released in 2011. So please help me in welcoming this bright light to our stage, Rev Richard Kent Matthews.
Your mother asked me to suggest this to you.
Oh, she did.
Now everybody turn your heads, because I'm going to spritz. This is a singer's spray. Have you seen those before? Okay.
I know people use it.
I have a question for everybody right off the bat. Let's get this going and let's get spirited. How many of you have ever experienced scarcity mentality? I better see every hand in the room going. Right? Scarcity mentality. And how many of you have ever been to a workshop or a Sunday message or listened to Reverend Barry or anybody else who said, if you can just overcome this scarcity mentality, abundance is yours? Ever heard that? How many of you believe it? What? Where are the hands now? Okay, let me share something with you about scarcity mentality. We often hear that produced from these speakers and these teachers in a somewhat negative tone, do we not? If you can just overcome scarcity thinking, abundance is just around the corner. Well, let me share something with you here. When I was getting ready to do this message, I always like to start off with some kind of a quote so it'll make me sound very authoritative. Right? Some kind of quote. And I was looking for a quote to start this out, and you know how Spirit works. This just dropped right into my lap. There's a wonderful book. It's on marketing. It's not even a spiritual book. It's called Free by Chris Anderson. Has anybody read that book? A few of you in here know that book. Okay. Well, I just picked it up off the bookshelf because Freudian slip there. Okay. Where did you say? I picked it up off the bookshelf and opened it, and this quote landed right in my face. Has that ever happened to anybody? Yeah. When you're looking for something and you're not quite sure where to go, and all of a sudden it just kind of shows up in your experience, right? Well, listen to this quote. This is from Chris Anderson from the book Free. Our brains are wired for scarcity. We are focused on the things we don't have enough of, from time to money. That's what gives us our drive. If we get what we're seeking, we tend to quickly discount it and find a new scarcity to pursue. We are motivated by what we don't have, not by what we do have. Does that make sense? Okay, all of a sudden scarcity takes on an entirely different connotation, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Okay, did you know that it was scarcity thinking that brought you all here today? That got you into this seat. Why? Because you're looking for something better, something different, something new, something interesting. Bestville. Exactly. He asked me this morning if this was going to tie in with what he had to say. Do you think? Do you think it ties in? Okay. Well, now that we've got that, put that aside for a second. We're going to come back to scarcity mentality in a moment, but I'm going to ask you another question. You know, each one of us has gone through an experience, the most dangerous experience we will ever experience in our existence on this planet. How many of you think you know what that experience is? You think it's birth? How many say birth? Okay? Wrong. The most dangerous situation you will ever find yourself in during the course of this experience on this planet,
the drive here,
besides that, is your own conception. Let me tell you something about consent. How many in here are mothers? How many of you in here are fathers? Okay? Okay, so you've all had a little bit of experience with this, right? You know how it begins, so you don't have to go into all those details. And you kind of know what the outcome will eventually be if everything works out okay. But let me go back to that first moment. There is a moment when the mommy cell, the egg, will make a decision. Because you know your mother chooses you. Did you know that? Are you aware of that? That there's all these daddy cells swimming in the right direction, all just swimming their way toward this egg. And there's this shell on the outside that will not let any of these guys in unless the egg, in some chemical way, spots the right one. And if that right one gets close enough, she'll let this right one penetrate the outer layer. In it will come, the DNA will mingle, and this new being will begin. And unless it's that specific male cell, you wouldn't have been here. Your name was literally written on that male cell. The only one in 300 million that could have possibly produced you. Now, in that particular experience is the most dangerous position you'll ever be in, because did you know that for every conception that takes place, 1 million don't make it? Conception is a very dangerous moment. It's a moment of decision for both the egg and the sperm. And most attempts do not succeed. They just don't. So, if you made it through that, and you obviously have, or you wouldn't be sitting in this room, you have passed the first and the most major hurdle you'll ever have to go through in your experience as a human being on this planet. The most deadly experience that will happen after that is death itself. Everything else in between, no matter how rough it is, no matter how tough it's been for you, will never compare to that moment, because your life was literally in the balance right there. Okay, so you got through conception because you're sitting here, right? You've made it. Now the next thing after you get past that is gestation. Everybody familiar with that word, or do I have to pull out my Wikipedia definition here? Okay, gestation, which means you go through this whole process of growing. First you got to attach to the uterine wall and do all those kinds of things, which are dangerous in themselves. All during this process, you're in the position of dying. All during that. Now, the minute you get in there and you grab onto your mother's womb, the mother's immune system immediately sees you as an invader. Did you know that? How many of you were aware of that you were actually an invading foreign body in your mother's body? And that the immune system begins to react to that like it would to any other virus or bacteria? It wants to take you out. But fortunately, there are also elements within the mother's body. There's hormones and there's all kinds of protective chemicals that will help you get through that most decisive point of attaching to the inside of the uterus, so that you can begin to grow and come into your own as a human being. Then you have to go through that whole 9 months. And again, for every single completed birth on this planet, 1 million don't make it. Now you say, well, Richard, we have almost 7 billion people on this planet. A lot of them have made it. Yeah, but if all of them had made it, we'd have 3 trillion people on this planet. 7 billion in comparison to the attempts is nothing. But here you sit. You made it through that. Did you not? Or am I imagining that you're here? Okay, so you go through your gestation, and then you get to what you guys said earlier, the birth part. Again, now, mothers, you know how tough that can be, do you not? We men have to just take your word for it, because it's hearsay to us. You know, we can watch it. Unfortunately, some of us have had to do that. But it's a rough period. And both the mother and the baby are in jeopardy at that point. Are they not? Yeah. Especially if anything can go wrong. Especially if you're like me. I was almost 10 pounds when I was born. So my mother nearly went through a trauma just doing that. And then my younger brother, who some of you met, was 12 pounds. And we had a brother in between. She went through a lot. So the point is, if you can get through all of that, your birth, all the way back through gestation, conception itself, and you make it out into the world, that's a miracle. And it doesn't take anything supernatural to understand that. It is a literal miracle that you make it into this world. Because I'm going to tell you point blank, every single thing in nature, from your mother's body to the outside world, is doing everything it can to take you out at any given moment. And here's the reason it does that. Because if you make it through all of that, you have already taken your first steps to becoming a strong creature who can live in this tough world. Nature does that deliberately to toughen up those who make it. Then you got to go through toddlership. And your parents have to go through that with you. And then you have to get through grade school. And all that bullying we hear about these days. Tough stuff. But no matter what happened to you in grade school, here you said, you've made it. You've beaten the odds. It's a miracle. Then you got to go through your teen years. Oh, that can kill you. Kill your parents too. Right? It can take you out. And you made it through that. And then you went through young adulthood and college or trade school or whatever it is you did to earn your living, to raise your family, whatever course you took, whatever orientation or gender or race you are, you made it through somehow, and you're sitting in this room listening to me, which means you beat the odds in everything. You wouldn't be here if you weren't tough enough to face those odds. How many of you are going to feel sorry for yourself after this? That chair you're sitting in, somebody had to make it. That's a miracle. This room, this ministry, everything that you are experiencing is a miracle. And it's a miracle because you made it through all of that stuff. And the reason you made it through all of that stuff is because you had a scarcity mentality. I need more. I need better. I need to get to where I can be safe, where I can be secure, where I can wrap this world around me and have it protect me. Because that's the natural and number one drive of the species. It's the number one drive of all species. And every creature that makes it into this world and becomes an adult, or even not an adult, however far you make it, you have been a success. I don't care about money. I don't care about houses and riches. That's fine. Love it. Love every bit of it. Have had it all. But I know that that's not where my success is. My success is in realizing that I made it in spite of nature's attempts to take me out all along the way. Every single moment of my existence, something has been trying to take me out. And I haven't let it happen. And I didn't know I wasn't letting it happen. But I made it. Didn't you? You're sitting here. And you all look good. So you did something right. Now how many of you are feeling sorry for yourself? Right? Well, after considering that, and after understanding that you indeed are a living, breathing miracle, that you have had odds to face that we don't know if any other creature in the universe has to go through this besides those that live on this planet. We don't know for sure, do we? But here you are, and you have beaten all the odds. And then you go sit in a class and somebody tells you you should not take scarcity mentality as a positive thing. There's only one thing you have to do with that scarcity mentality to turn it into the direction you really think you want to go. Just don't see it as negative anymore. That's it. Recognize that scarcity mentality is actually a positive, and it is the driving force that brought you to this room today and through your entire life. And when you understand that, you will step into an abundance you have never imagined. Abundance is simply the recognition that you have what it takes. That you are already a success. And nothing can ever change that. Because here you are. You've made it. Have you not? Tell me somebody that in this room that hasn't made it here. Here you are. A raging success. There's a wonderful passage in Scripture that says basically, he who is without excuse. You are no longer excused. And you no longer can feel sorry for yourself. Because you are a raging, roaring, 100% bona fide success. And nobody can take that away from you. So I'm going to ask you to do a couple of things with me right now, just to kind of solidify this. Sorry about that. First, here's an affirmation. It's a very simple affirmation. You believe in the power of affirmation? Sure. Okay, but do you realize that some people think that if I don't have a right feeling or a right frame of mind and I say my affirmations, they're not going to work. If I feel like, ooh, I don't know about this. Ever heard about the doubt syndrome? Yeah, a lot of people syndrome. Yeah, a lot of people think that doubt is a bad thing. And doubt is another part of that scarcity mindset. Embrace the doubt. Oscar Wilde said, you know, to believe is boring. To doubt is engrossing. Believe in your own doubt. There's a wonderful little strip of quotes and poetry that go across the inside of the TriMet buses in Portland. And one of them says, I believe in myself fully. It takes all the doubt I have. Right? So close out the negativity on words like scarcity mentality, doubt, fear. All those things have served you. Anybody ever been afraid? Yeah. But here you sit, yeah. Here you sit. So you made it through it. It served you somehow to bring you here to hear these words so that when you walk out of here, you're not going to be the same people that you were when you came in. You now know that it's okay to have that scarcity mentality because that's what's giving you your drive and your ambition and your enthusiasm to reach out for better and for more. You know, it's really popular right now to talk about just let it all go. Release it. And that's fine. It's beautiful. I do it all the time. I spend hours, okay, minutes, in meditation. But I also understand this. You know, Einstein said nothing happens till something moves. That nothing in this universe ever stops dead cold. They're not even sure that absolute zero has ever been reached anywhere in the universe. I'm listening to a wonderful set of CDs right now called The History of Science. You want to talk about a spiritual set of CDs. And the guy doesn't even know he's being spiritual. Excuse me. So, here's the affirmation. Just simply remind yourself on a day-to-day basis, as often as you think to. Don't make this a rule or a regulation. Just say, miracles are everywhere. Say it with me. Miracles are everywhere. Now look around the room and see how many miracles you spot. And I'm not just talking about the people. Just look around the room. Thank Edison and Tesla for the lights. Who invented the radio and the microphone? Who did all that? Thank them right now. Who sewed the drapes? And who put this together? Who created? Is this a taiko drum? It's a drum. Okay. Whoever put that together, did you build it?
From Africa.
Did you build it?
I put all that up there.
Okay.
Drums from Africa.
Miracle, right here. Everything is a miracle. Miracles are everywhere. You know, the interesting thing about miracles is they're not supernatural in the sense that we think of supernatural as being separate and distinct from the universe. Miracles are the natural result of simply being real. This is a real universe. Oh, we don't see it as it is, but it really is here, and we get to participate in it. We are the miracle, living in a miracle, experiencing a miracle. Put that, you have a pipe too,
I got
and
my
smoke it.
I got my flute.
Right. Now, this is the second little exercise I want you to do before I close this. I want you to reach into your purse, pocket, wallet, something, and pull out something that's valuable to you. It can be a pair of glasses, or a pen, or a camera, or your wallet, or a credit card. Maybe not credit card. A credit card, whatever you want it to be. Just take something out that you find valuable. Something that has served you somehow. I'm not going to ask you to thank it. You already know to do that, right? You already know that if it's serving you, it deserves your gratitude. You already know. So I'm not going to tell you that. I just want you to, everybody got something that's of value to them? Okay. Think about this for a minute. Take a look at it. Take a look at it really closely. Just look at it. Where did that come from, and how did it get into your life? Now, there's a simple way to answer that. Well, I bought it at the store. That's the simple explanation. But do you know that every single item that you're holding in your hand right now began as a thought in somebody else's consciousness? That every single thing, I see that Barry's holding some kind of a globe here. Is that a particular value to you? You don't have to explain it. Just okay. This started somewhere. And how many have often turned things over and it says made in China? Okay? Or made in Indonesia. Or Bangladesh, or Pakistan, or Mexico, or Hecho in Mexico. Made in Mexico. H-E-C-H-O. Okay? Echo, H-O, depends on how you pronounce that. Every single thing, no matter where it comes from, was in someone else's hands being prepared for you. That's the one you want to say thank you to. Because it took this long, circuitous journey, let's say from China's factory, where somebody is making pennies on the dollar to build this for you, and wound its way through importing and exporting and in and out again through various levels of shipping and docking and stocking and all of this stuff to finally get to a store or to somebody else's hands and present it to you. Somehow, through all this circuitous route, it ended up in your hands. That's a miracle. It didn't need to. Like that other sperm that didn't quite make it, it could have gone in another direction and you never would have had it. But you had the means to get it, you were in the right place to get it, and here it is, serving you right now in this moment. Be grateful to the idea that brought that into existence. That's what in New Thought we call science of mind. That is the power that we have as creatures and expressions of spirit to bring these things into our lives so that we can experience the best that Bestville has to offer. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for allowing me to share this with you. I hope that it meant something to you. I hope you got something out of it. Have you? Mm-hmm. Good. Then I want to close with this little meditation. Please join me in this little. If you can. Yeah, if you don't mind. It's a real short little meditation. Just to kind of close this, seal it up, put it in your hearts, and let you take it with you today. Please go within, however you do that. And let me share this with you. I know that miracles are the simplest form of energy in the universe. Why? Because all it takes to create them is a thought. Simply by moving from impossible to possible, you change the energy field around you. You open a slight crack in the so-called hard reality of daily living and allow in just enough light to shift your focus. Just a little. But a little is all it takes. And once the light begins to shine, the picture changes. Miracles are not supernatural. They are the very essence of the natural world. No matter the appearance, miracles are always unfolding, always presenting themselves for us to see or not to see. It depends upon our perspective, our thinking. God will not send you a miracle. Why? Because you brought all the miracles you'll ever need with you when you were conceived. This is the great gift that your Creator gave you. Believe it? Don't believe it. It's your call. But the moment you choose to see the miracle in everything, the miracle appears. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.